Hello, this is Mish from Downtime Distractions with a first look review of Fragmented. So as I said, this is a first look review, so please check the description below for specific detail on the difference between our first look review versus a full review. So Fragmented is a survival RPG game that has a multiplayer and a single player component. It's developed and published by Above and Beyond Technologies, so thanks to them for providing a key for review. These guys have produced another game previously called Repopulation, and that was released to early access on the 19th of December 2014. I'll discuss that in depth shortly. So this title is coming to Steam early access on the 27th of April at a price of $24.99 US. So this title is built on the Unreal Engine. The reason the devs are bringing it to early access is they've stated they like the feedback from the players and the community, and they believe it benefits their title. So you're looking at 6 to 12 months in early access, and of course the price will go up when it leaves early access. So they aim to add more features in its current state. They're looking at a modding kit, possibly gameplay refinements, optimization, and even possibly VR. So what's the main driver behind this title? So the story concept. So you're trying to travel to a different planet, a colonization planet I believe, and for some reason you crash and you're stranded on an alien world, and you must have amnesia because you've lost your knowledge and skills. So you slowly gain them back as you level up, and you just have to survive in the world. You got combat there, you got base building, so the usual stuff in a survival game. So the gameplay mechanics, what we have, you can swap between first and third person, which is very nice. The main component for me is really the harvesting and the crafting. So this can be done by hand or using tools. For example, you could pick berries by hand, or you could use a knife, pick berries a lot faster, and also get other things from them. So that's the same concept throughout all the interaction with the world. So for example, you can use your fist to smash down a tree, because as we all have steel fists, and if you use an axe, obviously it's going to come down quicker, and you're going to get different resources from it. And the crafting is, as I said, so you're gaining the crafting as you're going on. So you're leveling up by doing the different game mechanics. So by combat, by harvesting, by crafting, you're gaining levels, and every level you can unlock more crafting abilities. So yeah, it's very nice. So you get a base building component there as well, so you can build a main kind of area which is yours, build fences, build bases, build weapons. There's even computers and stuff, so there's quite a bit to the crafting. The other main part is the combat, and so you've got different weapons. So you got melee weapons. You start off with things like axes and pickaxes and knives, and I've got to the point where I'm building pistols and shotguns, but you can go further than that as well. I see there's lasers and stuff like that. So what else is in the gameplay mechanics? I guess it's the exploration is another component here, and there is a lot to explore. It's quite a big world, quite vast. Okay, so let's move on to the game modes. So currently we have PvP and a PvE option, both with casual, normal and hardcore modes. So they're all on official servers, so that's nice. But you can host your own server, so you'll have control over those options. So you can have more of a granular control of what you want in the world. And you can also do an offline mode, which I did to really learn the game, so I wasn't jumped in and fighting people on a PvP server. I played a little offline mode, got familiar with it, then jumped onto a server. So that's a very nice feature, and it looks like you can go right through the game offline by yourself if you want to anyway. That is, for me, that's a really nice feature, because some people like exploration games, but they don't want that multiplayer component. So it's really good that you've got that offline mode. So before I get into looking at the options menu and the gameplay mechanics and the UI, I briefly want to mention the history of this title and the developers. So if you want to skip all that, just hit the annotation and jump to the other area. So for those of you that stuck around, I'll try and be as concise as possible. So Above and Beyond, the developers started a Kickstarter for a title called Repopulation in 2012. So that had 709 backers, and they pledged $53,000. So that Kickstarter worked, and it came to life. So they progressed that game on an engine called the Hero engine, which was created by Ideal Fabric. The developers progressed with the game, they got the servers online, they released an early access version. You can even check that out on Steam. Just search for Repopulation, you see it there. You can't purchase it anymore, but it is there. So at some point towards the end of last year, the developers started mentioning there was a problem. Progress has stalled because of a problem with the Hero engine. They never really divulged what was going on, but I guess we don't really need to know that. All they've said is that progress has stopped. They needed to think about how to keep going with this. So they made the call to move stuff across to the Unreal Engine. And that's why we've got this Fragmented game. So the Repopulation was initially an MMO. So Fragmented is a kind of slimmed down survival version of that. But that doesn't mean they're not still progressing with Repopulation. They were just, I guess, working on Fragmented in hope that they could bring their other Repopulation alive on the older engine, but it looks like it's probably not going to happen. So they can use the Fragmented game as a bit of a framework to progress Repopulation on. That's how I interpret it. Also, there's a few things as well. There's the concept of, companies had to prolong the time they're working on a game. They're going to need additional funds, and you're going to get some of that from this game as well. And for me as well, I kind of look at it as a bit of a gesture of, here's a game, this is what we're working on. We still are working on Repopulation, but this is how we're progressing. And also another fact to know, that the guys that bought Repopulation, they received Fragmented for free. So that is also a nice gesture there in there. If you experience this whole drama yourself, if you're one of the backers, or you bought Repopulation and played it and then experienced what was going on, let me know below. Let me know if there's anything I missed. I think I've got most of it there, just a brief overview, but also how you felt it all went down. Let me know. Interested to get your thoughts on that. Okay, so let's jump into the options menu. Okay, so here we are in the options menu. So we'll start with down the bottom. So we have the game option, which is helpful. You have the chat, even though it's labeled as motion blur. This is early access, remember. The chat font size is changeable, which is very nice because it does start something ridiculous like up here. So that's good to see. We have mouse sensitivity options. You can invert the mouse, don't know why you do that, but anyway. And resolution, which is good. Full screen, windowed mode, full screen borderless, which is nice. Field of view slider, which is good. I appreciate that. Resolution scale, view distance, and this is all good. But the thing is, I've seen other YouTubers mention this too. I don't know why all of a sudden it's gone to epic. When was the point that we've gone from low, medium, high, epic? But anyway, so there's a couple of options here, so it's not too bad here. So we've got shadow quality, texture quality, effect. I mean, there could be a lot more. I know people like to be able to customize this a lot, and we can turn motion blur off, and frame rate is changeable as well. But it's not too bad in here. It's acceptable in my opinion. And let's look at audio. Same again in here. I do appreciate the different options and being able to control the ambient user interface and the effect noise separately. So that's really appreciated. I think the audio is good, actually. A good options menu. We can rebind the keys, but we need to go in game, so let me show you that here. All seems to be rebindable, but I have seen people mention it's a little bit buggy by doing this at the moment. And I've experienced a little bit of buggy with the UI in general as well, I have to admit. But this is early access. Things will get better, one would hope. But yeah, all rebindable in here, so you can change the camera options, movement, so it's quite nice. Okay, so this is the UI. So up here, top right, we have your health. Below that, we have stamina. This is the food that you need. This is the water that you need, and this is your lungs, which is for when you go underwater. Obviously, if you run out of air, you're in trouble. And this is for your temperature of your body, so you need to kind of keep control of this as well. So here we are in the, inventory, and we have my current level, obviously health and stamina, and skill points. So this is important. So when you gain a level, you gain more skill points, and you can spend them here. So as you can see, if I put a skill point in let's say refining, for example. On level 2, we'll be able to get a recipe for quicklime and a smoke bomb. So there we go. We're now level 2, and you can see we've unlocked those items, those crafting recipes. All this is obviously very self-explanatory. You can craft clothes for your head, hands, feet, body, legs, and also this is where you put your weapons. Okay, so here we are. Let's just quickly go over the basic game mechanics. So I've equipped my axe. So you can just see it in the right hand there. And we can shift run a bit quicker and go up to a rock. And there we go. So we're harvesting. So we've got some flint, some iron, and some limestone, some stone. So obviously we need all this for other things. Now we can go up to this tree here, and we can harvest it with just our hands. And the same goes for this tree here. Wow, one punch and took out the whole tree. Amazing. But you know what I'm saying? So you can harvest the stuff without any tools, but it's beneficial to make tools. So let us build a stone knife, and that will help us. So in our inventory we can now have the knife, and there we go. So I've used it before, so I can press 1 and we have the knife, and we can just chop away and get more advanced items from them. You do actually damage these items too, so if you use the knife for too long you'll break it, but you can get more advanced knives as times go on. So what else do we have? So it's the same with axes, knives, skinning knives, and pickaxes. All the same concept. Okay, so what else we have in the crafting, in the recipes? So we have some items. So with a few fiber and rhyolite, I can make some pants. It's always good to have pants. Okay, and there we go. We should be able to double click it, and now we have pants on. It's a bit better. And what else? Another interesting component is the same as other crafting games where you need a fire or a stove to do certain recipes. The same for this one. So if we want to, let's see what we got here. We have a lurker meat. We need to cook it. So we need a campfire. So let's craft a campfire. And go back to our inventory. Double click on the campfire, and you see we have that ability. We can chuck that there. And if we go back to the crafting, we should now be able to cook some lurker meat. There we go, cooked it, nice. And the last thing I want to show you is just, I guess, the base building. So there's a lot more than this. So we can construct pre-made, and also a little bit of manual. So you can make fences, but majority of the buildings are kind of stock made. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. So go inventory, double click on the wood shack, and there we go. So we have a wood shack ready to go. So we'll put it by the fire. Actually, you know, we can put the fire inside. No, we can't. Set the wood on fire. Okay, put it there, and there we go. So, we can actually demolish it now too. That's a new feature. And so we can go in and close the door, and there we go. Done. So that's really the crafting and the harvesting. But let's just run over here, and I'll just show you a quick fight with just a bit of melee against an animal. Alrighty, I just crafted a new weapon, which does a bit more damage than the base ones. These are primarily for resources, but this one here, the nailed club, has a bit of a proc stun as well, which is good. Okay, so we got that equipped, and let's go and try and have a fight here. I did level up a character, and I managed to make a pistol, and the pistol combat felt a lot better than the melee combat. The melee combat just feels just a little clunky. As you can see, there's not a lot to it. There's only one swing the weapon, and that's about it really. You just got to target over the creature and do that. Let's bandage up a little bit to get my heals back up. There we go, nice and fully restored. And let's just take this guy out. So it's very rinse and repeat. If you're wanting a heavily, well, he's just running away. He's obviously seen my prowess, and he's just running away from me. Oh no, there he goes. Yeah, so that's very simplistic. I mean, I have had a few stuns with the procs on these items, but not a lot of depth to the combat. But as I said, the ranged combat feels better than the melee. Okay, so let's just wrap things up with a bit of a talk about graphics, audio, and gameplay positives and negatives with a summary. Okay, so let's start graphically, as we always do. So there are some positives here. I think visually it looks like a good game. When you get the big kind of panning shots with all the forest in the background and the crazy alien plants and stuff like that, it looks good. The Unreal Engine is a good engine, and I like it, and I think you can get some really good games. And this one looks quite nice. There is a lot of optimization required though. I've noticed quite a few texture issues, clipping issues, animation issues. So quite a bit of that. But this is early access. So we have to give a bit of grace around stuff like this. So for the most part, graphically it looks okay. But as I said, I can see a lot of optimization can still be done. Animation needs to be worked on. Textures need to be worked on. Okay, and audio. So I like the audio. I think the main music soundtrack is good. It's got a lot of good tracks in it. It's very atmospheric. The ambient sounds are good. There's a bit of monotony with the basic weapon attacks and the sound of the character. But overall, I think the sound is pretty good. So for the gameplay, the concepts are very generic. You got the crafting, the base building, the harvesting, the combat. It's all been done before. They're not trying to reinvent the wheel, not with this title anyway. I mean, the ideas are very similar to other titles like The Forest and Rust. It's a lot of that same stuff in here. Keeping warm, eating, drinking the water from the rivers, stuff like that. It's all the same. I guess the difference is just that you're on a strange planet opposed to Earth. Other things about the gameplay, the combat feels unnatural and jerky to me. The range combat felt better, but the reaction of the animals and wildlife isn't right as well, which doesn't help. So if you hit something, you like to see the creatures respond that they've been hit, and they don't seem to at the moment. But that's kind of covered in animation as well. But yeah, so I said the melee combat feels unnatural and jerky. The range combat feels a bit better. The interaction with the world around you also feels the same. It just feels a bit jerky and unnatural. So it'd be good to get all that ironed out a bit more. Things like that really add a bit more immersion to the game. The crafting is good. I think there's a lot of depth to the crafting of what I've seen. I spent 4 or 5 hours in there, and I got to level 11, and I don't think I'm even close to halfway of unlocking what's in there. So there's a lot of depth to the crafting, and quite customizable as well. You got the stock standard buildings, which is nice to have more options in there, but there's quite a few things in there, so it's quite nice. Okay, so this is early access. So here are my suggestions for the devs. Work on the animation, the interaction with the world around you, and the combat. Definitely the melee combat needs a lot of work. And optimization is always good. But one other thing I'd really like to see as well. This is a different planet. This isn't Earth. So make it vibrant, make it crazy. The world's your oyster here. Well, this planet's your oyster. Do what you want. Really mix it up, because a lot of the areas seem very bland and Earth-like. So, you could do a lot here. Okay, so the ultimate question here. Is this title worth $25? We must remember this is early access, so you're not only paying for the title, but you're paying, I guess, to be a part of the community and provide that feedback to the developer, and you're paying for the concept that this game will be more than what it is now. So don't forget that. So for me, we should wait. $25 is a bit steep in its current state. We have other titles that are cheaper and far more polished with a prodigious amount more content. But I think Fragmented is a title we should put on the watch list and keep track of on how it progresses. I do like the title and I think it has great potential, but let it cook in the oven for a little bit longer. I hope this video has been valuable for you and that I've given you enough information to make the decision to purchase or not. I'll leave it here, so please leave me some feedback below, thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.